for a moment because it can be a little overwhelming and daunting, but it's exciting to see what we're becoming. And like you mentioned, it was a tough loss, and you learn a lot about your team, about yourself in the middle of adversity. And I've been on this end of this as a player. Certainly went through it last year a couple times, and you find out, hey, this is where we are. This is where we got to get better, just from a holistic standpoint. And the thing I love about our kids is that they didn't stop fighting. And that's the one thing you always look for, who's going to give up. Although it got off the rails and we were out of it in the first half, we never stopped fighting. The rhetoric in the locker room would say, you know what, we still want to continue to play our standard. And our season, our goals are still out ahead of us. We jump into conference play next week. We have a bye week, have a chance to heal up. And listen, we've had a three-week stretch of playing some tough teams from Eastern Washington on the road to Jackson State and Memphis, and then MTSU, an FBS program. And that was a tough road for us, but we managed it, and we're going to get better from it. And these things take time.
Tough road tonight for the Titans at Buffalo. Let's start with that. I mean, look, I've been watching the NFL for as long as you two were playing in it, and I know that everybody out there, 30, I'll be 33 this month, Eddie. Oh, I'm getting old. But what's crazy is that in all these games, in the NFL, college is different, right? Mm-hmm. You get Ohio State and you get nobody state, and it's like, it's not fair. Mm-hmm. The NFL's different. I see all these games where everyone's like, oh, no Dak Prescott for Dallas, Cincinnati going to blow them out. And they didn't. Even Chicago last night, Green Bay. It's like, oh, Green Bay's going to blow them out. And they didn't. The Rams and the Falcons, they're going to blow them out. And they didn't. And right now, everybody is saying that the Titans are going to get blown out tonight against Buffalo. How do we feel about it? You guys have lived it. How do we feel tonight?
Based on what?
What everybody's saying?
But what is it? What's different about Buffalo from last year to this year? I think we did play them last year, right?
Yes, beat them at Nissan Stadium.
Beat them at Nissan, right? So what's the difference now?
Now, they're convinced that Josh Allen slipped, and that's why they lost.
Oh.
And the Titans are convinced that they blew up the play with the DTs at the line, and that's why they won. But, yes.
At the end of the day, the Titans still won.
Yes.
There's some changes roster-wise, but, Mike Vrabel knows how to get this team ready for games like this. And Buffalo still has to prove that they can win a big one. I mean, they won in the playoffs. They came within 13 seconds of probably beating Kansas City, playing for a title. But, again, I think this is going to be a closer game than most people expect it to be.
Well, I mean, the NFL, and if you said it plenty of times, Jared, the NFL is built for everyone to have right around the same record. Mm-hmm. That's why when you look at schedules at the beginning of the year, it's not like high school and it's not like college where I can just definitely put down W's or down the board. With some programs, Alabama, Ohio State, whatever, you can put down basically W's all the way down the board. But the NFL is different. Just because your schedule might say it's a weaker schedule, the NFL is week by week. Mm-hmm. Because just like the Buffalo Bills were high last week, they can be low this week. Just like the Titans lost by a field goal this week, they may win by 21 points, tonight. So this league is built for there to be this parity.
Parity, yep.
And you never count the Titans out, or you never count any team out. But if you're looking at both teams from a roster standpoint, 11 or 22 on 22, you do lean toward Buffalo. Why? Because of the quarterback, mainly. You lean toward them. 2, the defense, the way they've been playing. And then special teams. The Titans haven't been as good on special teams lately. They did get some big punt returns from Kyle Phillips. But this team, they need to capitalize in that area of special teams, because that's sort of like sometimes the forgotten area. And we call those back in Baltimore, those are hitting points or hitting yardage. When you can get a 60 or 55-yard field goal, or you can get a block punt, or you can get a punt return, or you can change the field with the punt return or a punt. Those are hidden yardage that, we didn't account for. Mm-hmm. So the Titans have to, in this game more importantly, because it just seems like they're overmatched. They must take advantage of every opportunity they have, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
And typically what happens, Derek, too, in the league or really in football, you get better. You show your most growth from week 1 to week 2. And although the Titans did lose by a field goal, they play complementary football extremely well. And I think they'll iron out the special teams issues. They're able to score points defensively. They'll show up for this game, and I think they'll find a way to win it.
You brought up complimentary football. That's what I look at when I see tonight's game. If the Titans get out of that at all, then I think they're in trouble. So if there's like these 3rd and 13s and Buffalo knows it's a passing situation, Tannehill's in trouble. If they get down 14-0, I think they're in trouble, where Buffalo can just pin it back and bring the pass rushers, and now Tannehill has to throw the ball when he doesn't want to throw it. How do they avoid that from happening? Because Buffalo does have a prolific offense and one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
Well, they got to stay ahead of the sticks. They got to stay on. They got to stay on schedule, and that means on first down, you need to get 3-4 yards on first down. I don't care how predictable it is. You still got to get 3 or 4 yards, and then on second down, you add another 2 or 3. Now you're in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. That's manageable. The Titans get in trouble when they get behind the sticks. Yes. They got in trouble in the second half with the Giants because they were behind the sticks, and then they didn't convert 3rd down. So this team must, because of the way they play football, they got to stay ahead of the sticks. If this was a team that was a wide-open, pass-happy team, then, yeah, they can get away with it sometimes. But because they're a run-based team, they must stay ahead of the sticks.
How do you feel about Derek, 3.9 yards a carry last week? I really felt like he had 21 carries. I really felt like if Derek had gotten up into that 24, 25, like I felt like he was getting ready to bust one.
Yeah.
And Buffalo knows that. Buffalo knows that it's going to be, the Titans are going to want to run the ball with Derek. How did you feel about games going into that, knowing that you were kind of the guy who had beaten a team the year before, and they were thinking about you going into this game?
Well, it's similar to what we experienced. I think it was in was it 2000, Derek, when we went up there after we had the Music City Miracle?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 2000,
yeah. It was similar to that. We played them actually on
it was a night game. It ended up being a night game, yeah.
It ended up being a night game.
Sunday night. I think it was Sunday night
game.
Yeah.
But, we had success against them running the football in the playoff game. I think I had about 95 yards or something like that. And they knew that we were a run-based team, and it was going back and forth. I think we wound up losing the game by 7 points or 3 points. I can't remember. But they make that adjustment. So you talk about Derrick Henry. I mean, he's been on fire the last, 3 years. And teams know that they have to load the box to stop him. But the difference was the last couple of years he had help on the outside. He had A.J. Brown. He had who was the other receiver?
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis. He had players that could stretch the field and make plays. Jonnu Smith, the tight end. You talk about a balanced offense. Now you have to pick your poison. So if you load the box, now you have one-on-one outside, and those receivers will make it happen. So a lot of pressure is going to be on these unproven receivers to make those plays. They're going to say, look, Buffalo's going to say, hey, you know what, Derrick Henry's not going to beat us. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to have to prove to us that Tannehill can consistently beat us with his arm and make plays. If he can do that, then God bless you. But Derrick Henry cannot beat you. So it's going to be important for them to control the edges in terms of, Buffalo, control the edges and get a hat on Derrick Henry before he gets going, because if he cracks, it's going to be a long day. I mean, if he cracks that second level when he gets to the secondary, it can be collateral damage for them, and that's where you see the bigger runs for him come late in the game.
Now, Derek said he didn't care if it was predictable or not. Was that how it was when y'all played? Was Derek was okay if it was predictable on first, second down?
And we knew what it was, yeah.
The ball.
But that was bully ball back then. So he made it.
We knew what type of ball we were playing.
Right. We know how we were built.
Coming up next, we'll move the chains with our friends at TriStar Moving. We'll take a look at the 4 biggest storylines going into tonight's Monday Night Football game. Eddie's hanging around with us for a little bit. Right here, it's the pregame show live from Cool Springs, Twin Peaks location. Again, 29-degree beer and the best scenic views. And again, come on out. They've got all the pay-per-view events here and happy hour every day from 2 to 7 p.m., including $1 off drafts and, drinks. It's the pregame show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute, disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
About 80% of new home buyers don't shop around for the best mortgage loan. That's a mistake. Hey, Willie Donick here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Not all mortgages are created equal. People who use Loan Pronto, on average, save $3,500 in closing costs. They get a better rate, which saves them thousands more every year. Your banker or agent's go-to lenders are fine people, but don't assume they're giving you the best deal. Call Loan Pronto for a quick second opinion, or go to loanpronto.com. I'll bet you they can get you a better loan, lower rate, without all those annoying closing costs. And when rates drop, Loan Pronto will refinance you for free. No closing costs. Call to get pre-approved in minutes. They can even hook you up with a high-performing real estate agent if you need one. So call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with three-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Second flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from Twin Peaks and Cool Springs, this is NFL Pregame with Jared Stillman and former NFL wide receivers Derek Mason and Chris Sanders. Presented by TriStar Moving, Harmon Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company, and by Superbook Sports. NFL Pregame starts now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Titans and Bills tonight at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. Derek Mason is here. Jared Stillman. Eddie George is with us for the next 30 minutes, getting you set for the Titans and the Bills live from Twin Peaks out here in Cool Springs, Galleria Boulevard, 29-degree beer and the best scenic views. Let's get into the four biggest storylines today. It's called Moving the Chains, presented by TriStar Moving, my official movers. TriStar Movers with 5-star service, and we start with the biggest story, first down. The Titans are 10-point underdogs. Only twice since Mike Vrabel has taken over have the Titans ever been double-digit underdogs, and they have won both times. It is called the Mike Vrabel Special, a game that everybody predicts the Titans will lose. Somehow they find a way to win. Unfortunately, sometimes like last week against the Giants, when they have games that they should win, then they sometimes don't get it done. Eddie, you played with Mike Vrabel in college. You played against him. You know Mike Vrabel very, very well. What is it about him and getting this team or last year's team or the team before that, what is it about his ability to get them to show up in big games like this when nobody is giving them a chance?
He has that ability. That's what makes him special. You know, Mike is going to find a way to motivate these guys to play above and beyond what most people expect them to. I think when you look back at last year as a perfect example of him losing, like 60 guys or something like the turnover. Well,
him having to play 90 guys.
90 guys. Which was the NFL record. And typically that's a recipe for disaster. That's like at best, and you know, an 8-9 season, or you know, not a winning season, let alone to win 12 games, 13 games, and be a first seed bye. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. So that's one of his gifts, is that he's going to take what he has and get the best out of it. He's going to have a game plan that's soundproof. He's going to be ready for every situation. He knows the Buffalo Bills, I think, really well. I think he has a plan in terms of how to slow down that offense, and he's going to give his offense a chance to win it in the end. So I think he's going to sell. He's going to make them believe in the plan, and they're going to go out there and do what they have to do to get a win.
Yeah, they are. What's good about his team in particular is, in last week was sort of, to me, again, it was sort of an outlier, meaning the defense, in regards to the defense and how many yards they gave up running the ball. Because he preaches so much about, listen, if you just do your job, be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, everything will get done the right way. Trust that if I'm doing my job, the guy next to me is doing his job.
That's right.
So it's not only, you know, me as a head coach trusting you, he has made them buy into trusting the guy next to him, regardless of how they're playing at that particular moment or who's next to him. He's gotten them guys to buy in, to trust the person next to you, because if you don't trust the guy next to you, you're going to look to do things outside of the defense. I go back to the Saquon Barkley big run. If Dupree doesn't try to shoot the gap, Jeffrey Simmons makes the tackle, or he funnels it into Jeffrey Simmons. But he decided to dip in, run it to Jeffrey Simmons. Now the play's on the outside. When you do your job, the play gets stopped because they got a really good defense. When you don't do your job, you open up creases. But he's gotten these guys to truly believe in the next man up and the guy next to him. I think that's why they can win a game. They can go into Buffalo on Monday night and can win a game.
Let's take it a second down. Eddie, I think you've learned this now as a coach, that when the team doesn't win, play calling is something that people will put under the microscope. Why did you do this when you could have done that? Why this? That being said, I watched Chicago play Green Bay last night, 4th and goal from the 1-inch line, and they lined up out of shotgun. And I know some of the coaches sometimes say, you guys just second guess and everything else. I'm like, well, if I had known that you were going to put the quarterback in shotgun, I would have first guessed. But so there is some level here where the fans get very antsy if the team doesn't win with the play calling, and sometimes it could be a little bit better. What do we think about the play calling in the first game? Todd Downing said, hey, we wanted to stay out of 3rd and long. We wanted to minimize the exotic blitzes that the Giants could show us. This week it's different against Buffalo. They're not going to show anything. They're just going to do it with their talent. Derek, let's start with you. What do we make of the play calling so far and where the Titans are and what they need to do today against Buffalo?
This is how it works. You know, whether, you know, people want to believe it or not. Whatever play you call, if it's ran correctly, meaning if it's blocked the right way, typically you're going to get positive yards and the play will work. You do that a few times, then what is everybody saying? Man, he's a great play caller. Man, his team's going. But if one guy messes up, it's not defense. Defense, one guy can mess up and they can get a sack. One guy messes up, now the whole play is done. If that happens a few times, now everybody's screaming, what in the heck is going on with the play calling?
Right.
What is wrong?
Right.
Again, just if everyone does their job, more than likely the play is going to get positive yards. Now, they play people on the other side of the ball, too. They pay them as well, so you're going to get some stops here and there. But if you minimize the mistakes, then the play calling is great. You're only as good as the players and the design of the play. If you do not run the play the way it's designed, you're never going to be a good team. So with Downey, I'm not too worried about the play calling per se, but they got to start showing more things in the passing game, I think, because to me the passing game is just too vanilla.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to as well, when you get new pieces in the building, it's going to take that coordinator time to find out what his players like, what they're good at, and put them and how he's setting up the various plays, from play to play and really game to game, week to week, and that takes time. I mean, we're going through that as we speak right now. I have a coordinator. We get sitting there. You say, okay, we want to focus on getting on the perimeter this week. Well, to Derek's point, all it takes is one guy. We're always one guy away because somebody is not trusting the other person that's going to do the job. Like, so, for example, if the quarterback sees a blitz, he's looking at the rush versus looking at his hot read and striking the ball there. He's running out, and then he gets sacked, and it's a spiral effect. So that level of trust. So to your point, Downing's probably saying, okay, he's got some new receivers out there, and it's one thing to go through preseason and trying to figure it out. But when the bullets are live and it's real and you're getting game plan and you have to make adjustments in time, that's a different animal. So I think that's what's happening as well, because this is a different type of offense that we're seeing now out of the Titans than we've seen the last couple of years. I think it's more going to be ball control, run heavy versus then having that explosive attack until the receivers really prove themselves to be such.
Okay, so you've now done this. This is your second year as a coach. How many times over the course of the game, when you look at the film, I'm sure you've probably already watched the game from Saturday, watched every player on every play, and I could probably ask you what happened on second down in the third quarter, and how many times do you look at a play when you're grading your own tape and you say, that was a bad play call, or that was a bad decision by us as the coaches? And how often is it? Because I know you would get up there and you would say, it's all my fault. I messed up on that play as the coach, when that might not be the truth. But, like, how often do you look at yourself and kind of correct it as a coach, as opposed to Derek's point of if one guy makes one mistake, the whole thing comes apart?
That's a great question, because you look at it and say, okay, are we putting our players in a position where they can't be successful? If we know that they're having issues with the pass rush coming up the middle, what are we doing to get outside of that? Are we working our perimeter? Are we using our naked game? Are we using play action to get away from a lot of the exotic blitzes or the pressures? And that's a give and take. So, because if your offensive line is your Achilles heel, is certain things that you can't do. And sometimes as coaches, you try to get cute and say, well, if he can only hold up here, we can get the ball downfield and hit that dig route or hit the 9 route. But you can't do a 5-step drop or 7-step drop because your offensive line just can't hold up. So you've got to be able to creatively come up with different schemes, or screening more, or, again, using nakeds. Anything to hide your deficiencies, you're going to have to do a much better job of in terms of game planning and knowing your personnel. So, again, it's one thing to see it in practice in preseason, but when the bright lights come on, you might get a completely different player. You have to understand that, and you have to account for that moving forward as you game plan and as you adjust, again, play to play. So that's what I would say.
What a great answer from a coach.
That's a coach answer.
That was a great
Was it a coach answer?
That was a great answer.
Was it a coach answer?
No, it wasn't a coach answer. I'm messing with you. But you are the coach, so I said it's a coach answer.
Let's go to
I never wanted to be that dude, but I guess I am now.
Hey, man, you're a coach now.
Third down. 4 years in a row, the Titans, this will be year number 5. 4 years in a row, these two teams have played each other. Now, there was bad blood when you guys played the Bills after the Music City Miracle, but every time the underdog has won the game, 2018, the Titans fumble 3 times on the road at Buffalo. Buffalo ends up winning at a field goal at the end. 2019, the Titans missed 4 field goals, lost that game to Buffalo. 2020, the COVID game where the Titans hadn't practiced for 16 days and went out and beat Buffalo 42-16, turned Josh Allen over 3 times. And last year, where in Buffalo they say Josh Allen slipped, in the Titans locker room they say they blew it up, but the difference of a foot was the Titans and the Bills a year ago. The underdog has prevailed in each of the last 4 seasons. Eddie, what do we make about this little mini rivalry that's starting to brew here between these 2 teams?
I think it still continues. I like that trend that the underdog has found a way to win.
Well, that's good because you're 10-point underdogs next. So.
Right. But, this has matured into a nice little matchup for both brands. In fact, I ran into a couple of Buffalo Bill fans last night that were in town. And they just love coming to Nashville, with their Wild fans and going on Broadway, doing God knows what. I think it's just built into that. And it extends back to and harkens back to when Derek and I played. You talk about the Music City Miracle and the battles that we've had there. So I think it's just another chapter in this great rivalry that's being developed.
Yeah, it's a good rivalry for both teams. We talk about the '99 game, but heck, I'm pretty sure it goes back a little bit further. 1990,
93 or whatever.
93
comeback.
The comeback,
the 35.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was the.
That's when I think that's when
Houston.
it really started. And it sort of built after that. So you have these 2 iconic games. One goes for the home team. The other goes for the away team. Both go for the home team, meaning Buffalo come back from being down 28, and then the Titans get the Music City Miracle here in Nashville.
When you're a good team, and the reason that they've played each other so many times is because the Titans have been in first place and the Bills have been in first place, and so they play each other, every year now. It's almost like it's a divisional game. Like how you guys had some of those back in the days when you guys were winning a lot. And it feels like, you see this team every year. The Titans see Buffalo every year. But just it's always a dirty kind of game.
Well, because both teams, I understand that Josh Allen is, he's an elite quarterback. Let's just say it. The guy's an elite quarterback. But besides that, these 2 teams are built the same, identically. What they want to play physical, they want to play fast, and they want to play disciplined football.
Yes.
The Titans don't have the playmakers on offense that Buffalo does, but I think the philosophy is still the same. Buffalo would love to run the football. They would. They run a lot, or when they have to with their quarterback. Singletary's a really good running back, but because they are so explosive on the outside, it's like to them they want to score quickly. So they want to give it to Stephon Diggs. They want to give it to Gabe Davis, who might not play tonight. But this is still a team that wants to run the football and play strong defense. Titans same way. Strong defense. They want to run the football. They just don't have the playmakers this year as they did last year.
So let me ask you this, Derek. Last year, Buffalo played New England, and it came on a night where they had to run the football. And New England ran it 50 times down their throat. And it showed me that philosophy, or they weren't as physical as they thought they were. Are you buying Buffalo now as being a physical ball team, or is that still being developed? Where does that fall in line with you?
Last year, I think their defense was it was like they had this weird defense last year. And I said this before. They were always ranked in the top 5 or 10.
Number one.
Yep. But then in critical times in games, they will always give up big plays, run or pass. And I never understood that about this. As good as they were, they gave up so many big plays being a good defense. Well, this year they figure we've added Von Miller, which seems like it's made a difference. They got better corners. Their 2 safeties are 2 of the best in the NFL. And now what they're doing is they're putting – it's almost reminiscent to the 99 Bills with Big Sam Adams in the middle.
Yes.
They had these big horses in the middle. You can't run up the middle.
Smith, yeah.
You can't run up the middle.
Sam
now
Howard.
Vaughn, in the other end, they get to rush the passer because it's getting pushed down the middle. So to me, they've gotten better from a defensive line standpoint, which makes them a lot tougher. I believe, and a lot more physical. Last year, they wasn't as physical.
They
up
weren't
front.
built that way.
Yeah, they weren't built that way. A bunch of small guys.
I got you.
That's Moving the Chains, presented by TriStar Moving, my official movers on the other side. We'll go inside the playbook. We'll take a look at the Titans offense. We'll get Eddie's thoughts on it as well. He's here with us out at Twin Peaks and Cool Springs. It's a pregame show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Coming up next hour on NFL Pregame, Jared, Chris, and D-Mace go inside the playbook, inside the sportsbook, and get an update from the stadium with ESPN's Teron Davenport. It's NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Root for safeties this season with your friends at Superbook Sports. Hey, it's Chase McCabe. If you bet with Superbook this football season, they will give you a $50 bonus if a safety is scored on a Sunday. From a punter running out of the end zone to the plain old quarterback sack worth 2 points, root for chaos and win money with Superbook this fall. Download the Superbook Tennessee app right now and start rooting for two with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 800-889-9789.
The two most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Viraggio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest designs, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
See the latest from Viraggio, handcrafted on Fifth Avenue in New York by true artisans with unmatched attention to detail and the highest quality standards. Viraggio is the only ring that can be customized for every woman's specific desires. Come explore the entire Viraggio collection at Genesis.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, zero interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings this Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hi, this is Trisha Yearwood. The Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum is committed to preserving our musical history and sharing its cultural significance. We invite you to join us in honoring thy music and supporting our mission by becoming a museum member. Membership is your key to accessing a world-class nonprofit arts organization here, locally, minutes from your home. Become a member today by visiting countrymusichallaffame.org/membership.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $69.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Get in zone, AutoZone. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What are the keys to victory on the offensive side of the ball for the two-tone blue? Jared Stillman, Derek Mason, and Chris Sanders go inside the playbook. Brought to you by Ounce of Hope. This is the NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Inside the Playbook is presented by Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company. Ounce of Hope. With that, the Buffalo Bills last year had the #1 ranked defense in the NFL in total defense yards allowed, the #1 defense in points allowed last year, and they got 7 sacks of the LA Rams and shut them down in week 1. Eddie, how big is this test for the Titans tonight on offense?
Well, it's going to be a huge test, and it goes back to what Derek talked about prior to the break in terms of how they're built defensively now. Last year, I think they were built, with a lot of pass rushers type guys. They had the #1 defense, but now they're built to stop the run, and that's what the Titans are trying to do. I think tonight is going to be a test of wills in terms of Derrick Henry trying to get the hard 2, the hard 3s, the hard 4s, and it's going to be a game of patience for him. And if they can limit him to not breaking off the big runs, it could be a long night for the Titans. But I think, again, the game plan for the Titans will be play action, get Tannehill out the pocket, do some naked game, screen game, and so forth, and try to manage the game and try to keep it close.
Well, they're going to have to keep Buffalo off balance in a sense. I said they got to stay, ahead of the sticks. They got to stay ahead of schedule. But then they also got to. But how do you keep a team off balance that doesn't do all this crazy blitzing and stuff? They like to keep things in front of them. They like to see things as it happens and then react to it. So Derrick Henry, to me, two people need to show up in this game, and I say two, but really one. I say Derrick Henry needs to show up. I know he will show up, but it's going to be that physical Derrick Henry showing up, where it's pounding. And then to me, they got to allow Treylon Burks to show up, because to me, he's the only guy in the passing game that I think they feel can threaten them down the field. I don't think they believe Robert Woods can still run like he used to. But he was really always just a possession, really good possession receiver.
He's a chain mover.
Yeah, he's a chain mover. I mean, Phillips may not play, and if he do, he's not scaring. Nick Westbrook-Akina's not scaring anybody.
Right.
So Treylon Burks has to be that guy that gets them. I'm not saying he has to have, 3 or 4 big plays, but he has to have that one big play that opens up that secondary, that opens up that defense just a little bit, so Derrick Henry can have some running lanes.
Yeah, and tonight, success-wise for Derrick is probably not going to look like, 25 carries, 220. It's probably going to be more like 25, 95. That's going to be a successful night against this type of defense. I mean, because, again, Derrick talked about, can he, be patient and turn out, 4 or 5, and not worry about hitting the long home run. I mean, it's going to be one of those type of deals, and that's what's required until they really find somebody that can really stretch the field and open up the box for them.
Eddie, how do you feel about this offensive line and the time that it takes for an offensive line to come together? Because you guys played, there were two-a-days in pads.
Yeah.
There were a lot more padded practices. You guys played preseason games. These guys don't play preseason games together anymore. They don't have the two-a-days anymore. And so there's not as much time out there to be physical. And you got a rookie right tackle. You got a third-year guard who has never started before, all coming into an established line. And I hate to say, got to grow up fast, but the Buffalo Bills defensive line has Von Miller on it. It's got Gregory Rousseau on it.
Jordan Phillips,
Daquan Jones, veteran NFL players. Eddie, how does that kind of come about, not only with just the line itself, but the quarterback and the running back?
It's going to work in progress, and I've been a part of that overhaul where your established offensive line, you get the interchangeable parts, and it can throw you off as a running back because you kind of know, your personnel in front of you, kind of know what problems can present different type of players, your guard, your tackle, your left tackle, and you got to kind of understand that as you go into it. And they're going to have to find out. It's going to be a trial by fire. We're going to find out pretty early, how well the Titans' offensive line goes up against this defensive line and where they stand. So to Derrick's point, they're going to have to do some things unpredictable. I think they're going to have to do a lot of screens to the wide receivers, some storks, just to get the ball in their hands, get it out on the perimeter, and to soften them up. So, just try to get them off balance in that way before they try to pound it out and get predictable. So it's going to be interesting to see. But certainly with the offensive line and that matchup and them having so many new guys, that raises some eyebrows and some concerns for me in terms of what the Titans really want to do up front.
Eddie, how do you guys feel about Tannehill from the standpoint that the guy wins a lot of games as quarterback? I mean, I think the fact of where the Titans were before Tannehill, where the Titans have been with Tannehill, it's night and day. At the same time, Tannehill does not go out there and throw for 355 yards for this team to win. I thought last week was exactly how they want Tannehill to play. Throw it 20-something times, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, good for the most part on third down, hitting Hilliard for those 2 touchdowns, and throw to the open guy, keep the chains moving. For the most part, that's been what Tannehill's done here successfully. But when playing a team that has this much firepower on offense, I do wonder what is fair to ask of Tannehill.
Just that, manage the game. And the best way to do it is ball control, especially when you got an explosive offense like that. Your best defense is staying ahead of the chains and getting first downs, having an efficient run game, having an efficient passing attack on third downs. That's going to be the key for them. Tannehill has never been a guy that's going to throw for 400 yards per game. I think he had that one big year. I think he threw for 3,500 yards 2 years ago when Derek had the 2,000-yard season.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost had two 1,000-yard receivers. But to ask him to go out there and throw for 35 times, that's when you're asking for trouble, I think. You want to be able to say, okay, manage the game in this capacity and give them the best chance to win. And that to me, is Titan football.
Yeah, the offensive line, it's going to take them a minute. That group, more than any other group, needs that time to gel and bond. That's why I sort of dislike the way the PA, and I know a lot of coaches hate it. Yes, they're saying they're trying to protect the men's body and give them some rest, but you're not building anything. When we were playing, it was 2-a-days. Yes, it was hard, but we saw the fruit at the end.
Yes.
We saw, okay, we did all this work to make sure once the season started, we were ready to go. Everybody was jailed. Everybody knew each other. We were ready to go. It's not like that anymore. So when you start, inserting, player A at the guard tackle, inserting player B at the tackle position, new guys that don't know, what's really going on, you're going to have some problems. And it's going to take you some time to mesh as a unit. Now, that offensive line is doing a good job run blocking. Pass blocking is where they suffer. And pass blocking to me is having the time in the offseason to really work on that and trusting that guy next to you. Right now, they struggle at that. So you're not going to see the Titans, even if they wanted to pass, they can't pass that much because you got one tackle that's a rookie. Your left tackle isn't playing the way that he normally plays. He's taking a slight step back with his age and a knee injury and everything else. So they don't want to sit back and throw the ball 25, 30 times because they can't.
Right. And the level of communication is going to be key, too, because there's a language within the offensive line that you have to master, especially on the road in a hostile environment where it's going to be loud. You don't want to be back there throwing the ball 35 times because the pass rushers, you got Von Miller, who's a savvy veteran that's going against a rookie. You don't want that matchup too much. So they're going to have to do some things creatively. I think, a lot of slide protection and using the tight end, max protection just to get two-man routes and see what they can do. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they call this game, especially earlier on, to set the tone.
Okay, so normally we have a Mike Vrabel key to the game, but since we got a head coach with us right here, we got to get Eddie's key to the game tonight. Eddie, what is the key tonight for the Titans to pull off a victory against the Bills?
The key tonight is protecting the football, no turnovers, and staying ahead of the chains offensively. For the defensive side, it's going to be a bend but don't break mentality. I would venture to say I don't want Allen to throw the ball all over the yard. He is a beast when he runs the football, but I'll take my chances there versus allowing him to sit back in that pocket and pick you apart. So that's going to be the key to tonight's game.
Eddie, thanks for joining us here tonight. I know you got to get back to work. You got Lane College coming in here on October 1st at Hale Stadium. Of course, the games are on 94.9 The Fan. Eddie,
I got to figure out how to score some points, my man.
That's what I got to figure out. We'll ask Vrabel what his keys are for you, and then we'll get them back to you as well. Right. Eddie, appreciate you joining us, and I know there's a lot of people that are really excited about what's going on over there.
Thank you.
At TSU on campus.
Thank you, guys. Derek, thank you, man.
No problem.
All right,
thank you, Eddie.
Eddie George with us. We'll take a look at the defensive side of the ball. We'll do that coming up next live from Twin Peaks out here in Cool Springs, Galleria Boulevard, home of the 29-degree beer. That's right. All the TVs will have the Titans on tonight as well. Derek's with us. It's the pregame show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Down, Tennessee.
We live live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome Game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
An effective defense often hinges on sophisticated strategies relating to income tax projections, business valuations, spousal support claims. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 615-457-8700. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Offices in Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Get an LG 75-inch 4K TV for only $699, or a Samsung laundry pair for $549 each. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an HP Pavilion touchscreen laptop for just $649, or a Klipsch soundbar system for $199. Shop in-store or online and get up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try some of our new menu items like the Nashville Hot Fish and Chips, Nathan's Hot Dog Burn Ends, or the Nashville Chicken Jam Band. Go Preds.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, Willie Donick, how'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? Call Loan Pronto. Your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home's value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off credit cards and consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Get your game on at Social Furniture. Entertain in style and make your social experience more comfortable with new furniture. Everyone loves to socialize. That's why you need new furniture. Save big. Professional same-day delivery and installation. Finance interest-free. Get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000, get $125 cash back. Buy $3,000, get $450 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card to spend on accessories, new TV, sports events, or anything you like. Huge selection in stock. Shop local. Shop social.
You're listening to NFL Pregame.
What are the keys to victory on the defensive side of the ball for the two-tone blue? Jared Stillman, Derek Mason, and Chris Sanders go inside the playbook. Brought to you by Ounce of Hope. This is the NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Live from Twin Peaks out here in Cool Springs, the host of the pregame show while we're on the road this season. And you can stop by tonight and win a Titans football jersey every time the Titans take the field this season, though you must be here for the game to enjoy their 29-degree drafts and all of their TVs here. And they got them all over the place. So swing on by to watch the game tonight. It is time now to take a look at the defense, again inside the playbook, presented by Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company. Good news for the Titans, Derek. This coming just now from Jeremy Fowler at ESPN. Gabriel Davis, who suffered an ankle injury in practice, is not expected to play tonight versus the Titans, according to a source. The team had held out hope, but playing was considered an uphill battle since Saturday's injury. He is out tonight, barring a surprise. That's Gabriel Davis. Now, Christian Fulton is out for the Titans on defense as well. Let's start there. What do we make of that news?
That's huge for the Titans.
Davis is good.
Because Davis is he's a up-and-coming, really, really good player.
He's good.
He showed his outcome, his coming out party was last year during the playoffs. He had 4 touchdowns. And he picked up right where he left off. He had a touchdown last week, I believe. He had a big catch. So this is going to be a big loss for Buffalo's passing game. But on the flip side of that is a big game for the Titans because now that's one less person that they have to worry about. But, I mean, you still got Crowder there, who's a savvy vet that works that slot better than just about anybody.
Isaiah McKenzie can run.
Isaiah, absolutely. Then you got Dawson Knox. So they still, and I mean, I don't have to say much about Stephon Diggs, but they still have weapons out there. But knowing that you don't have that other playmaker on the outside is big for the Titans.
5 sacks of Daniel Jones last week for the Titans defense. You know as well as I do, the only way to stop an elite quarterback with an elite wide receiver is to hit the quarterback and get to the quarterback and not to let the elite wide receiver get open because I like McCreary. He's not good enough to go man for man with Stephon Diggs for 5 seconds.
Nah, he's got to keep everything in front of him. They're going to have to communicate. The safeties and the corners are going to have to communicate a lot this game. And then the defensive line.
How do you feel about them getting to Josh Allen and affecting him?
I think they can get to him at times, but more importantly, if you don't get to him, throw your hands up, so you can knock a ball or 2 down. And then that may cause an interception. With a tip pass, you get an interception. So if you can't get to the quarterback, then at least get your hands up. So if they do throw the ball, you have an opportunity to get a tip pass or a knockdown.
I wonder, with this Bills offense, what is the key to stopping that kind of offense where the quarterback is not just a great passer, which he is, but he's also athletic, he can move the pocket, he can throw on the run, he can run with the football? How do they take care of that? How do they handle the fact that he's got a slot receiver he trusts, he's got a tight end, they're so multiple in what they can do, and then they might have the best wide receiver in the NFL right now in Stephon Diggs.
That's a lot. That is a lot, Jerry.
It's not the same as the Giants last week where they had one guy.
Exactly.
And if they could stop the one guy, they would have been fine.
But they didn't stop that one guy. It's hard when you go against an offense like this because they have playmakers at every level, basically. Your running back, your quarterback, and your receivers, your tight ends as well. So it's hard to kind of get a bead on, okay, who do we stop? Well, what you have to do is everybody just must stay disciplined in what they do. And then when you get those short passes, everybody must rally to the ball. You must tackle defenders when they get the ball in their hands. You can't let a guy break a tackle and gain an extra 2 or 3 yards. The Titans allowed that last week with Saquon Barkley and some other guys. You can't do it this week with Buffalo. If you got a guy down at the 3, you got to tackle him at the 3. You can't let him hit him and then let him get an extra 3 or 4 yards. That will kill you on a drive and then extend drive. So for the Titans, it's almost you can't stop it, but you can contain it. Eddie said it best. Bend but don't break. When we get in the red zone, now that's when the field is constricted and it's a little bit harder for Josh Allen to be, sort of this wizard with the ball, because now I know the end zone's behind me. I know where I can play. I see everything. Nobody's getting behind me. So if they can play this bend not break type of defense, then I think they'll be okay.
What do you do if you're Mike Vrabel with keeping Josh Allen from taking the game over with his legs?
Don't let him get outside the pocket.
Do you use the spy? Cunningham had a bad week last week, but I think if there's anybody who could match up with Allen's size and speed, it would be Cunningham.
Well, that means now I got to bring a safety down to cover Dawson Knox.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I may want to use him as a spy. Then, I mean, I'm sure Long Jr. can cover Knox, but if he's having a bad day, then what happens?
Yeah, I'm not sure he might. Like, the biggest problem with David Long Jr. is his size, and I do wonder if there would be a size differential between him and Dawson Knox.
Yeah, and it's not like they're playing against, Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, some of these quarterbacks that is just
but he can throw better than those guys.
But my thing is, you don't need a spy with him.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta, if you see him break the pocket, you gotta rally to him. And then the secondary, they gotta plaster. They gotta stay on their man no matter what, because you gotta trust that your linebackers and that D line can get to Josh Allen in enough time to get him down, so he doesn't break your back with a 25-yard run or a key third down run when you need to stop.
What do you think about the Titans' ability to rush the passer? Buffalo's offensive line is not a strength of their team. It's not a horrible offensive line, but it's not a strength of their team. What do you think of their ability to rush the passer tonight to really force Allen into – I mean, look, the Titans blew the Bills out 2 years ago because they forced Josh Allen into 2 turnovers in his own end that set up Titan touchdowns, and all of a sudden the route was on. What do you think about the pass rush to be able to affect Allen to maybe allow the defense to make some plays tonight?
Well, Bud Dupree got to earn his money. He must earn his money tonight. I have no doubt Big Jeffrey Simmons will show up. I think those interior guys, they will show up. It's those edge guys that they need to get to the passer, and they need to be disciplined in that doing it. Because what teams have figured out, what these quarterbacks have figured out, like, listen, if you got good edge rushers, as long as I can step up in the pocket as a quarterback, I'm good. Well, if Jeffrey is getting pushed and Danico Autry is getting pushed up front, it's hard for them then to, sidestep the outside rush and step up. So it's critical that the Titans stay within their rush lanes, don't get outside your rush lanes, and try your best to keep Josh Allen inside the pocket, because he does a lot of damage when he gets outside of it.
Coming up on the other side, we'll take a look at some of the injury news that's out there, and plus, one huge saving grace right now for the Tennessee Titans, and who's in and who's out. We'll get to that coming up next. Derek's with us. We're live out here at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs, home of the pregame show. They'll have the game plastered all over these TVs tonight, right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's coming. A beast is about to awaken. After a long off-season, Smashville is alive. The Nashville Predators have tweaked their roster and are ready to chase Lord Stanley's Cup once again.
The backhander, he scores!
Keep it locked to Smashville's best training camp coverage on your home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Look for a few clouds this evening and a stray shower east towards the Cumberland Plateau. Another hot day on tap for Tuesday. Highs top off in the mid-90s with plenty of sunshine. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
One of the best things to happen here over the last year is the arrival of QC Kinetics. Willie Donick here. QC Kinetics is helping people in our area get real, lasting relief from their joint pain with the latest in regenerative medicine. No drugs, no downtime, no steroids, no surgery. In fact, QC Kinetics has tripled in size. Now with clinics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro, one near you. So if you have pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back, whatever joint it is, don't think steroids and surgery are your only options. Regenerative medicine treatments at QC Kinetics use natural biologics, healing agents from your own body. It restores and repairs the damaged joint tissue. Pro athletes have been doing this for years, and now it's available to you and me. So many people here have done this and are raving about how they got their life back without that nagging daily pain. Appointments are available as soon as next week, and the consultation is free. So call QC Kinetics and learn how modern precision medicine can help you deal with the pain caused by arthritis or injury without drugs or surgery. QC Kinetics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro. 615-249-4024 for the consultation. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Fall is finally here, and you know what that means. The Nashville Oktoberfest in Germantown. With VIP tickets, you have all-day access to a dedicated private bar, unlimited Bavarian fare and drinks, luxury bathrooms, and a beer and whiskey tasting. It's first-class accommodations to enjoy the festival in style. Grab your Oktoberfest VIP tickets at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2022, Thursday, October 6th through Sunday, October 9th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prost, y'all!
When you download the Home Depot app, taking on big or small projects starts with a tap. It's your pocket-sized toolbox for getting more done. Image search helps you find what you need with a snap. Store mode pinpoints exactly where to go to get what you want while you're at our store. Or just tap to arrange for easy curbside pickup, all from the palm of your hand. It's the app that's made for doing. The Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds start a 6-game series tonight at the Louisville Bats. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pregame at 5:20.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The pregame show is live from Twin Peaks out here in Cool Springs, here on Galleria Boulevard. 29-degree draft beer. Right now it is technically 28 degrees. They have their little scoreboard up there, Derek. 28-degree draft beer out here. Ice-cold beer and the football game. Time now for the inactives. Who's in, who's out? We'll start with the Titans. Christian Fulton is out with a hamstring injury, as is running back Dontrell Hilliard. Running back Julius Chestnut is out. Outside linebacker Derek Tezuka is out, as well as Jamarco Jones, who is on the verge of winning the Kevin Pamphile Award for the least amount of time ever played as a member of the Tennessee Titans offensive line. Derek, your thoughts on Fulton and Hilliard out today and what that means for the Titans?
I think it's, at least for Hilliard, because he gives you that presence out the backfield catching the football.
And blocking and pass pro.
He made a big play in the pass game last week, and this is a guy that they rely on to do that. Now, this is an opportunity for Hassan Haskins to show that he can play in this league, because either they're going to do one or two things: lean heavy on Derrick Henry and say, forget everything else, or they're going to say, okay, these are 7 to 15 plays just for you, Hassan Haskins, and they're going to allow him to run, if not all of them, at least 10 of them, to see where he's at. So, to me, the Hilliard injury is more significant than the Fulton's injury, because I think they will do a good job at masking. They don't play a lot of man-to-man anyway. It's a lot of zone coverage. Mm-hmm. As long as those guys on the back end stay in communication with those corners, they should be all right.
Okay, inactive today for the Bills. Wide receiver Gabriel Davis is out today for the Buffalo Bills. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver is out, and he does have game-wrecking potential as a defensive lineman. So he's out today. Tim Settle, another defensive tackle, is out today for them, as well as tight end Tommy Sweeney, linebacker Braylon Spector, offensive lineman Tommy Doyle, and Ed Oliver out, which means more snaps for Daquan Jones, who we know well from his tenure here with the Titans.
Well, I mean, it's big because he's not a big guy, Ed Oliver, but he's quick, light on his feet, and is able to get to the pass rusher as well from the inside position. Now what this does is a guy like Jordan Phillips, who's all of 6'6", 300 and whatever pounds, now he gets to play more. He gets to clog up that hole. I would have looked for him to play more anyway, considering who they're playing. The Titans, they need that big burly guy in the middle to help stop, along with Daquan Jones. So I don't think because of what they want to do against the Titans, I don't think missing Ed Oliver is going to be like, oh, my goodness, what are we going to do? Because they rotate those defensive linemen anyway.
And they got a lot of them.
Yeah, they got a lot of them. It's just big body after big body, and Ed Oliver might have been the smallest of the big bodies.
One interesting element to the roster the Titans made is they have elevated Josh Gordon
finally
off of the practice squad. Derek, Josh Gordon actually started a lot of games last year for the Chiefs, and his lack of production was shocking to me. Again, this is a team that throws the football in Kansas City. He started 7 games. He had 32 yards receiving last season for the Chiefs. He had 6.4 yards receiving per catch. Derek, I know he was good 10 years ago, but I do not. I can already see the text line. I can hear the calls. Josh Gordon. I do not think this will make one iota of difference tonight. Your thoughts, though. You're the expert. Your thoughts on Josh Gordon?
I think it didn't work. I think it didn't work in Kansas City because, listen, Mahomes already had his targets. He had built a rapport, obviously, with Tariq, Kelsey,
Pringle,
Harmon, Pringle. He already had rapports with them. So when he dropped back, his first look was to those guys because he feels comfortable with them. I don't think bringing another guy in and trying to get him inserted into the offense, it's hard to do. Now, if he would have stayed there another year, the numbers would have been better. But I'm not going to hold the whole Kansas City experiment against him. I think this team, unlike Kansas City, they don't have many playmakers. They don't have guys that can, go up and get the ball. So Ryan Tannehill will look for a guy like that. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, he's like, listen, he just added to the weapons that we already got. I'm not going to go out of my way. It's not like we're bringing in, a Torrey Holt in his prime, and I got to get Torrey the ball. No, this guy, he's a good player, but he's just going to fall in, and I got to get it to my guys, and then I get it to him. Well, with the Titans, it's different. They need him to be a big play guy because other than him, they have none. Because we don't know what Treylon Burks is because he hasn't been targeted enough. Hopefully we find out that he can be that guy that the Titans drafted him to be, but they're going to need help from Josh Gordon as well.
What do you make? Where would you put him on the team right now in terms of the wide receiver hierarchy if Burks or Woods is number 1?
I would say Burks is 1. I would say if he's not healthy, if he's not injured, Kyle Phillips is 2. I'm just going by, the numbers and what Ryan Tannehill likes to do. He's number 2. And then Woods. And then after that, I would say it would have to be Josh Gordon.
Ahead of Westbrook-Akine?
See, I like Westbrook-Akine, and he doesn't get enough recognition for the little things that he do, but they will never give him an opportunity to be the guy, the receiver he can be, which I think he can be he's a really good 3. He can be a solid 2 if you need him, for some games. He can be a solid 2. But your number 1 has to be a bona fide number 1. He can't be your number 2 and then Robert Woods. He can't. Robert Woods' days they are further behind him than ahead of him.
See, Robert Woods needs to be a number 2.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Exactly. So Westbrook can be your 2 if Robert Woods is your 1. He can't.
Would you say, okay, when you played, you were the number one. Drew Bennett and Justin McCarrans were the number 2 and the number 3, and they were kind of interchangeable.
Exactly.
They did different things, but one year McCarrans was the number 2, the next year Drew was the number 2. The question I'm asking is this. Does Westbrook-Akine have the potential to ever be as good as those 2 players?
Oh, man. I don't know if I don't think he can ever be – I don't think he can ever be as good as Drew. I just like – because Drew brought something to the table that we didn't have at that particular time. He brought the height and the jumping ability, and he had great hands.
And he could run.
And he can run for a big guy. You didn't think – like he can get past you, and you be like, man, he's not really running, but he is running.
And McCarrans could run the deep ball.
And McCarrans was more of the deep ball guy, but Drew can run all of the routes. Like, it didn't matter. Whatever route you want Drew to run, he could run it. So I don't think he can be as good as Drew. He can be in that along the lines of – he can be potentially what Tyrone Calico could have been.
Oh.
Could have been. I didn't say what Tyrone was.
Calico was like 6'8".
But he was good.
No,
Tyrone,
he was.
Before the,
he could have been
he was
really
coming
good.
on.
Yeah.
Yes. So he has that. He's like that. Not as big, not as fast, but he's that guy that you got to put him in a position to succeed. If you put him in a position to succeed, he's going to make the tough catch for you. He's one of those guys that he will last in the league for a while. Why? Because he can make a tough catch.
Did you see what Amon-Ra St. Brown did yesterday for the Lions?
That kid's good, man.
So he set a record. I think it's like 9 straight games or whatever of 8 catches or more. Set a record for 8 catches per
Antonio Brown. He's tied with Antonio Brown and somebody else.
He was 3 picks after Des Fitzpatrick in the draft.
I didn't know that.
3 picks after Des Fitzpatrick.
But, I mean, it all depends, man.
I know. They had Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh, my goodness.
But they probably wouldn't have allowed him to do what the Lions let him do.
I know. I know.
So.
Just like now, Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds are doing things with the Lions that they couldn't do here.
Exactly.
We'll check in at the stadium. TD is hanging out at Highmark Stadium. We'll get his thoughts as the Titans get set to take on the Bills right here. We're live from Twin Peaks out in Cool Springs Galleria Boulevard. It's the pregame show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at thegamenashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes. Like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
The 2 most sought-after, most prestigious names in bridal jewelry come together for one epic event this weekend at Genesis Diamonds.
Tacori and Veragio, the world's premier designers, are showing off their entire collections. All the latest design, many showcased for the first time ever, with up to $5,000 in savings.
Everyone loves Tacori, meticulously crafted by master artisans in their California design studio. Discover the hidden details and exceptional quality that sets Tacori apart. There's always more than meets the eye with Tacori. Come explore the entire Tacori collection, including all new Tacori fine jewelry, earrings, bracelets, eternity bands, pendants, and more.
If you're engagement ring shopping, this is a once-a-year event you can't miss. Other jewelers aren't even allowed to carry these iconic American-made brands.
Also for this event, Genesis is showcasing an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds in all shapes and sizes.
Come join us and take advantage of special incentives, 0 interest financing, and as much as $5,000 in savings. This Friday through Sunday, only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and every season is screwball season in my house. No matter the time of year, that rich, smooth taste just hits the spot. Y'all know Screwball. It's made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, and it's just flat out delicious. It's my favorite. However you take it, as a shot, in an espresso martini, or a peanut butter old-fashioned, make it a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Root for safeties this season with your friends at Superbook Sports. If you bet with Superbook this football season, they will give you a $50 bonus if a safety is scored on a Sunday. From a punter running out of the end zone to the plain old QB sack worth 2 points, root for chaos and win money with Superbook this fall. Download the Superbook Tennessee app right now and start rooting for 2 with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm your kid's college football dreams. We practice our Hail Marys in the backyard and through the garage and on your car. And if you don't have the right coverage, these repairs will have you hoping for a miracle. So bundle your home and auto with Allstate to save money and get protected from mayhem like me.
Bundled savings vary by state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pregame, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stowing Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from Twin Peaks and Cool Springs, this is NFL Pregame with Jared Stillman and former NFL wide receivers Derek Mason and Chris Sanders. Presented by TriStar Moving, Harmon Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company, and by Superbook Sports. NFL Pregame starts now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, we are live at Twin Peaks out here in Cool Springs. Jared D. Mace getting you set for kickoff between the Titans and the Bills on a little special early Monday Night Football. Teron Davenport, ESPN, is with us live from Highmark Stadium out in Buffalo. So, TD, I'm just going to ask you to set the scene for us to start it off. My first question for you is, how wild is this atmosphere? Super Bowl favorites, huge win on the road in Los Angeles. How wild is this atmosphere going to be for the Titans today in Buffalo?
I mean, it's already wild, to tell you the truth. Even coming in, normally because I come in very early, it's a clear and easy path to the stadium. That's not the case today, man. They've had this place packed out. There's people yelling, and just, it's going to be a really great environment. And it's a good test for this Titans team, and I think it's one of those good opportunities for them to show that they're ready to go as well.
TD, let's start with concerns on the offensive line, given how loud it is expected to be tonight. Monday Night Football, you just said it, a silent count with Nicholas Petit-Ferrer and Aaron Brewer still acclimating themselves to the starting lineup. How much of a problem could that be tonight for the Titans?
Yeah, Jared, that's a really good point, and that's something that Ryan Tannehill talked about last week in the practice, leading up to it. He said that one of the things that they're making sure that they're doing is very clear communication. And as you mentioned, that is at times going to be unspoken talking to each other without literally talking to each other. So that's something that's big. And then the other thing that you look at, I asked Ryan Tannehill about his freedom to check in and out of plays. And it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that in this loud environment. But that's where the hand signals and those type of things come into play.
Now, Teron, the inactives are out, and for Buffalo, it's a big blow because they lose Gabe Davis. What does that change for the Tennessee Titans secondary, if at all?
Yeah, losing Gabe Davis is big because that takes away their best vertical threat. And people hear that and say, well, what about Stephon Diggs? Diggs is a guy that if you watch last week's game, they moved him aside in the slot and let him work the middle of the field. That's what he did a lot of. He can still be vertical, but when you take out Davis, it makes it a lot tougher to put that safety in that bind, right, where he has to pick, okay, am I going to take that deep in-breaking route or am I going to drop back to the post? What am I going to do? And that's a difficult thing to do and think about, in the middle of a play.
Now, what is going to be the keys for that Titans front to stopping Josh Allen? Listen, he's not a big runner, but he's an effective runner.
Yeah, the key really, and it's funny because Jeffrey Simmons said it was important to keep him from rolling to his right, but Dupree said he got to keep him from rolling to his left. So I guess it's according to whoever is on what side. But the idea is to constrict the pocket. So Simmons has to collapse the pocket from the inside. You need the guys on the outside, Dupree, Rashad Weaver. They have to attack from the outside and just, keep from allowing a rushing lane to open up. That's one thing, 3rd and 13, man. We talk about this all the time from these quarterbacks that can run, right? 3rd and 13, you have the cover, you're in man coverage, everything is executed perfectly. The quarterback finds a seam, 14-yard run, steps out of bounds, you didn't even get the blast, and that's the place for a defense. You have to be extra defense. And then that extends also, you asked about the front, but that extends to the back end too. One of the things Caleb Farley told me this week, plaster, plaster, plaster. The play is never over with Josh Allen, and he's the guy that could throw the ball literally anywhere on the field.
Now, one guy, Josh Gordon, have you seen him out on the field? Is he working out? What's going on?
Yeah, I didn't see him out here. I didn't see Josh Gordon. I didn't see Jeffrey Simmons. I talked to Buck Rising. He saw Traylon Burks come out for a bit. I didn't see Burks, but I don't think it's a bad thing. He's a veteran. He's been there and done that. I think you could come back on the field, and get acclimated to the pregame routine yourself, and it's been a while. So I'm not really, I don't think that's something to be concerned with.
Last one for you, TD. I don't want to bring back bad memories for the fans, but Randy Bullock, how has he looked in warm-ups? This is a weird stadium in Buffalo with the way the wind works, even in the kind of summer, fall months. How has Randy Bullock looked after his tough miss last week?
Yeah, Bullock, he's out there kicking now, actually. And as you were asking the question, I looked up to see how the flags were. And it's crazy because, you look to the left and the flags are blowing right. You look to the right, the flags are blowing right. And it's just like a circle. So the wind in here is just kind of coming in and just circling. So you may see the ball kind of tail a little bit. I saw that happen when Kyle Phillips was out catching some punts also. So he's going to have to, step up. I mean, last week, say what you want, but if he makes that kick, a lot of the conversations we're having is a lot different. And that's something you have to consider. His job is to kick the ball, and he has to do that effectively if he's going to earn that contract that he has.
TD with us from Buffalo. TD, great stuff. Enjoy the game. We'll look forward to your breakdowns coming up all throughout the weekend, of course, at ESPN.com.
For sure. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the game.
Yep, TD with us there. You heard him talking about the wind in Buffalo.
Yes.
You played there.
Mm-hmm.
You've caught punts there. Yeah. I am scared to death of Kyle Phillips trying to field punts tonight in Buffalo. Should I be scared to death of Kyle Phillips trying to field punts tonight in Buffalo?
With what TD just described, it yes, because Buffalo is like the old Giant Stadium. When that wind gets in there, it starts swirling, and it just does funny things to the ball. You may think the ball is coming right to you, and it ends up shifting just a tad bit, and it throws you off. Or you think that field goal is going straight down the middle, then you get a big gust of wind come through, and it blows it clear right. So, you should be concerned.
Did that make you nervous when you were playing in that stadium and the wind? Because I've never obviously played in that stadium, but I hear that the wind cuts through the middle of the field and that it changes like that consistently, and it's hard to – were there ever times where you were back there thinking – oh, I'm nervous with this kind of punt that's coming?
No, because what I always try to do is get a bead off of the kicker right before he kicks it, right as it hits his foot, because I can see a clear line to the punter. So I try to get a quick bead on which direction he's punting in. If I can get a quick bead on which direction you're punting in, and Kyle Phillips needs to be aware of how the ball is in the air. If that ball doesn't turn over and the nose coming back down to you, we got trouble, because now it can hang in the air, and now the wind can shift it. If that ball is, it comes over and that tail, the tail of the front of the football comes straight down, then that's better for you, because now it's cutting through the wind and it's coming at a spiral straight to you. It's more than likely wherever you see it in the air, that's where it's coming to you. But if it doesn't turn over, then that's when you got problems.
I asked about you being nervous catching the punts. how nervous are you when you watch Kyle Phillips catch punts right now?
I'm not. I mean, listen, the best of them muff punt. I'm just nervous because he's a young guy.
Right. Well, I'm more.
Yeah.
On it, like, this is going to sound crazy. He muffs some punts in practice, and I don't like muffing punts, and muffing a punt can lose you a game. But I'm more concerned with the fact that in the Tampa Bay game, in the preseason, he decided to field a punt out of the end zone and take it out. And I'm like, that's bad decision-making. Well, my hope would be that they would coach that out of him. And then last week, he caught a ball at the 3-yard line.
Well, that's one of those deals where the special teams coach
don't get me worked up on him.
He needs to tell him, listen, if you're lined up at the 20, and that ball or 25 or 30, and that ball is just clearly going over your head. A lot of times you just got to let it go, because if that momentum is that much where you got to turn and run that fast, then typically it's going beyond the 10. If you're on the, if it's a kick where you're kicking on the 50 or in, set your feet on the 8-yard line and do not move. Don't move, because if it goes over your head, then so be it. There's nothing you can do about it. We are taught that put your heels on the 8-yard line. You can take a step back to catch the ball, but no more than a step.
Now, you played in that stadium after you guys pulled off the Music City Miracle. The first regular season game was a Sunday night game at Buffalo.
Oh, I had a heck of a day on kickoff return in that game.
Did you have a touchdown?
Yeah, no, I had
you
three
set up,
big returns.
You set up a Craig Hentrick 60-yard field goal attempt to try to win the game at the very, very end after Buffalo had taken the lead.
Yeah.
But go back to that game, because that was probably the last time Buffalo was good. Then they took about 20 years off of being good. Then they got good again when they got Josh Allen. That stadium. Now, I asked TD about the snap counts with the young offensive line and with the lack of practice time and the silent count and how loud it's going to be tonight. How much
it's going to be a huge problem. And, Eddie said it. TD said it. When you're playing in an environment like that with a young offensive line that's still trying to mesh, communication is key. It is paramount. If I can't, as a tackle, hear what the center is saying or hear the snap count, now I may not false start.
Von Miller's going at the same time he is.
Exactly. So now I got to pause for a quick second.
I have to look at the ball. Von has to look at the ball. Yeah.
So now I can't hear. I got to look, or I got to wait on the guard to move before I move. Well, Von's already gone. So he's getting the beat on it. He's getting that half a step before you get yours. So it's going to be critical on how they communicate. I'm sure it's going to be some silent counts in there somewhere. But if Buffalo gets up, like a touchdown or 10 points, oh, my goodness. It's going to be bad for that offensive line to hear. They're going to make a lot of noise.
Coming up on the other side, picks to click. Who's going to click today and why? We'll get into that next, live again out at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. The home of the pregame show for all Titans road games this season is right here at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. 29-degree beer and the best scenic views. Come on out. And, of course, they got happy hour every day from 2 to 7, $1 off drafts and well drinks. It's the pregame show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5".
On ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Here are a few quick divorce tips that we provide our clients. Number 1, don't move out of your house just because your wife tells you to. Remember, that's your house too. And number 2, don't blow through the financial statements that you file with the court. These are key exhibits, and they often make or break your case. And number 3, watch the social networking. Expect your wife's lawyer to do a thorough online search. And incidentally, this is a two-way street. Now, a bonus tip. Partner with your attorney in assembling evidence. You're one of the 2 leading experts on your life and marriage. Your attorney needs your input to achieve your goals. And finally, talk to your attorney before taking action. Good luck.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
As a roofer, every second counts. Late deliveries and incomplete orders cost me time and money. That's why I partner with Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. With Beacon, I know my supplies will be delivered on time and complete. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
Men, what if I told you that now you are able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMD4Men.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of Chase, Willie, and D-Mace, we'll react to the Titans on Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. Plus, Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, going to join us at noon. We get everything started at 10 o'clock on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
This is NFL Pregame, and it's time for Jared Stillman and former NFL wide receivers Derek Mason and Chris Sanders to make their picks to click.
Bring it on, Chop. Let's go.
Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
It is time now for Picks to Click, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Who is going to click today for the Titans, and why? We start on the offensive side of the ball, Derek. You only have one choice for this. If you don't choose who I think you're going to choose for your pick to click today, I am going to let you have it. So, again, while we are live out here at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs, Derek, who is your pick to click?
Listen, the obvious choice is Derrick Henry. But for me, it has to be, and this involves more than just him, but the coordinator. It has to be Treylon Burks.
Yes. Yeah, you said 11 targets earlier today.
Yes, because he has to be the guy. He has to be the guy that helps, because they're going to pack the box. They're going to try to stop Derrick Henry. And until the Titans prove that they can consistently make plays down the field, Buffalo's not going to come out of whatever they're doing trying to stop Derrick Henry. So to me, Treylon Burks has to have a big game. The coordinator Downey must involve him in his offense early and often.
I'm going to go on offense as far as my pick to click with Derrick Henry. No, I mean, that is the obvious one. They have to run the football. I'm going to go with Tannehill. And it's not just Tannehill who has to click today, because I think he's got to play the same kind of game he played Sunday, where he doesn't turn the ball over, he is efficient, 250 yards, something like that. When the Titans blew out the Bills a couple years ago, they got a couple interceptions early of Josh Allen. But Ryan Tannehill and the Titans were 5 for 5 in the red zone. Tannehill had 3 passing touchdowns. I think it was 3. 1 rushing touchdown. And Derrick Henry had 2 touchdowns running the ball in the red zone effectively, and it was all because Tannehill was so electric that night. He didn't throw for over 200 yards, and they were talking about him on ESPN the next day as a possible league MVP candidate. That's the kind of performance that when it's there, Tannehill's got to take advantage of it. The offense has got to keep Tannehill out of obvious passing situations. 3rd and 14, for instance, just hand the ball off, bring out the punt team. You know, so if they put Tannehill in those, and the defense has to do their part because they've got to keep Tannehill from being down by 10 points, 14 points, and now the Titans have to abandon the run. But I think Tannehill's got to be efficient today. He's got to, it doesn't have to be big play. It has to be consistently moving the chains and keeping Josh Allen and co on the sidelines.
No, I agree with you. You know, in order for this team to put themselves in a position, then all of the weight can't be on Derrick Henry. We know that coming into the game. We know that Buffalo's going to try to stop the run. So that means somebody else or other people have to do a better job at what they're doing. Ryan Tannehill has to play almost flawless football. And I say flawless football, I'm just saying he can't turn it over, make stupid passes. He has to stay within the framework of the offense. And he has to make some big plays with his arm. He's going to have to run a little bit too. I really do think so. He's going to have to run a little bit. But he's going to have to make the plays when the plays are there to be made.
Time now for your defensive pick to click, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment.
It's got to be Big Jeff. And I know that's obvious. He and Danique Autry, I mean, they got to put constant pressure on Josh Allen. They got to make this team as one-dimensional as possible. They cannot allow Josh Allen to get outside the rush lanes. They got to pack that pocket, close it in, and when they get opportunity to tackle the big fella and Josh Allen, you got to bring him down to the ground. He's like Ben Roethlisberger. He's one of those big guys that it's hard, even if you get one guy on him, it's hard to bring him down. So when they get their hands on Josh Allen, they got to bring him down, and it starts with Jeffrey Simmons.
I'm going to go with Monty Hooker. Hooker had a huge interception, I believe, last year when these two teams played. Here's the thing about Monty Hooker. I always laugh because sometimes I think Titan fans want the Titans to go get stars when guys are no longer stars anymore. It's like, oh, let's get Julio Jones. Oh, Adrian Peterson. Oh, Josh Gordon. But sometimes maybe they lose sight of the guy who is becoming a star on a weekly basis. Monty Hooker's starting to become that guy. He's really, really good. That's why the Titans paid him $11 million a year, because they knew that if they didn't, there was a chance that that number was going to be 16, 17 million with the way the safety market is starting to take off. I think if the Titans can force Josh Allen into bad decisions, Monty Hooker can make them pay. They're going to have to turn the Bills over today.
Yeah.
I think Monty Hooker's the guy that can be able to do it.
Well, if Big Jeff is getting in his face, then I would assume that, you know, Monty Hooker and Kevin Byard would get some opportunities to make interceptions. So you're right, because Buffalo's they're going to try to control the game by throwing the football. And if these two safeties of the Titans get involved in it, then they need to make it very difficult for that to happen.
Now, here's my question for you. The AFC South. Did you watch what Indianapolis did yesterday?
Yeah.
And Jacksonville and the Texans, and is this division really that bad? Like, I look at 0-2, and I would say 0-2 might be a death sentence if they lose tonight in a real division. It is absolutely not a death sentence in this division.
Well, no, not at all, because neither one of their losses were inside a division.
Sure.
So, you know, even if you go 0-3.
Well, you started 1-4, won every game in your division, and ended up 11-5.
Yeah, exactly. So you're still in a good spot. This division is turning out, it seems, to be a division that would be won with 9-10 games. I think Indianapolis, they're in a situation, if this continues, they're going to have to make some decisions, and some decisions with the head coach and the GM. The team that everybody needs to watch,
Jacksonville.
That's the team. They got them a coach now. The quarterback looks as if he was not damaged by Urban Meyer. He looks like
he looks like an NFL
quarterback.
He
looks like the quarterback we thought he would be early on. This team, offensively, they got some weapons. Defensively, they got some weapons.
And they're playing a fourth-place schedule.
So this team is a skill. I'm not saying Jacksonville will win the division. I'm not saying they will get to the playoffs, but they're going to make it very difficult for the Titans to get to the playoffs or win that division. They're going to make it very difficult for Indianapolis. It seems the way the Indianapolis is playing, they may not make it. And then Houston is the wild card because Davis Mills he's one of those streak. He's kind of like Fitzpatrick, the quarterback.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's like one of those guys that he can be really great, but then you really know, like, okay, eventually he's going to come down to earth.
Oh, I think he's like Chad Pennington.
Chad Pennington, I think he was solid. Chad Pennington was solid.
And I think Davis Mills is on his way to being that. He's probably not there yet. I'm not a huge believer in the Texans. I think right now Jacksonville is the biggest problem to the Titans. Mm-hmm. And I still, the Colts have kind of found a groove after starting slow the last couple of years. So I wouldn't completely rule them out, though they look horrible right now. Mm-hmm. If the Titans win tonight, I don't know how they could lose this division. Because if you can beat the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo on Monday Night Football, you should be able to win all 6 games inside of the division. I know every game's different. It's one, then the next, and the next, and the next. If they lose tonight, I'm scared to death about the Raiders because I do think 0-3 is a serious hole. And the Raiders are 0-2 after they blew their game to Arizona last night. So, I almost think like if they win this game, then they're going to be so good, the Titans, that they cannot lose the division this year. Because Jacksonville, I can see the potential. Because they've drafted guys like Josh Allen over the years that are pretty good. Mm-hmm. But they're not there yet.
They're still a work in progress. They got a bunch of young talent, but they haven't played together enough, and they're still trying to get rid of that residue of Urban Meyer.
Yeah, the residue of stinkiness.
Absolutely. So you're right. That Jacksonville team, again, they're not going to win the division. I don't see them making the playoffs, but this team is going to be a hard out for a lot of people.
How about how bad Indy is?
Indy, I don't know what to say.
I watched the whole game, sat there and watched it, didn't flip to the Patriots, didn't flip to the Buccaneers. They're horrible.
That's a team that has a direction, but hasn't put themselves on that road to get to where they want to go.
I don't think they have the direction. I think that's the problem.
I think they know where they want to go. They got the.
I know where I want them to go.
They have the players in place, meaning they want to be a running team. So they got the running back. And the offensive line, it's a good offensive line. But
shaky at the tackle position, yes.
But this quarterback, they can't get, ever since Andrew Luck, they can't get the quarterback position right. And that's the only thing that's holding them back, seriously, is the quarterback position. But then they need another playmaker. They need another playmaker besides Pittman.
They have no receivers outside of Pittman, who was out yesterday. And their defensive line, it's like a good run-stopping defensive line. It's not a good pass-rushing defensive line.
They're missing Leonard.
Well, they missed on Kwity Paye in the first round. He's not, they brought in Ngakoue. He's, he frustrates every team he's on. Jacksonville had him. They got rid of him. The Ravens had him. They let him go. The Raiders signed him. After 1 year, they traded him.
Because it's like he has the potential, but
he never does it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my goodness.
Story of the Colts right
there. Potential will get you fired.
D. Mace is with us on the pregame show. We're live out here at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. Once again, come on out, watch the game, because tonight you have the chance to win a Titans football jersey, and you have a chance every time the Titans take the field this season, but you must stay here until the end of the game. It is an early start time, which means an early finish tonight, for the drawing to win that football jersey. And again, happy hour every day here at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs from 2 to 7 p.m. On the other side, take a look at the lines inside the sports books, and we'll make our final game predictions. It is the pregame show right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
He scores! Philip Forsberg!
We talk the game.
Philip Forsberg stays here in Nashville, hearing the deal is done. 8 years, close to $70 million total.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, Willie Donick, how'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? Call Loan Pronto. Your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home's value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off credit cards and consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra. Results vary.
At Third and Home, you can watch the Nashville Sounds from the patio and your favorite college or NFL game in September. All the sports in one spot, plus drink and wing specials, burgers, flatbreads, and more. Don't worry, your game will be on one of the 28 TVs, so you don't miss any of the action. Follow Third and Home Bar on social for all the info.
Tennessee has always been a state of pioneers. Hardworking folks just trying to find simple ways to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. Need individual plans including dental and vision? Or you're a small business owner and want family coverage? No problem. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
This is NFL Pregame.
Live from Twin Peaks in Cool Springs on the pregame show, it's time to take a look at the lines presented by our friends at Superbook Sportsbook out here on the pregame show. Again, we are live at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs. Come on out, watch the game. Jared Stillman and Derek Mason. So, this was the second biggest spread of week number 2, Titans and Bills. The line right now, Buffalo is a 10-point favorite. The Bills are -10. The Rams, and I don't know what it closed at, but the Rams and the Falcons at one point in time last week was a 10.5-point spread. Now, that all came down. Mariota was trying to throw for a Hail Mary at the end of that game. But as of right now, Buffalo -10, -480 on the money line. The over-under 47.5 points. How do we feel about such a big spread, considering, one, it's the NFL, and two, D-Mace, the Titans have beaten the Bills each of the last 2 seasons?
Well, it all goes back to the first game of the season and how the Buffalo Bills look and how the Tennessee Titans look. Even though we felt that, if the narrative, if he makes the field goal, the narrative's changed, but they still didn't play a good game versus the Giants. That's where I believe the line is coming from. But I'm surprised it hadn't changed now that, Gabe Davis isn't playing. And Phillips isn't playing. I don't know why the number hadn't changed, because it was 10 points earlier, right?
Yes.
So those are key guys that are not playing for Buffalo. I'm sure they still would pick Buffalo to win, but I thought the point spread would drop.
Let's take a look at Michael's keys to the game. We'll start with the fact that big games, and you always did this as a player, Derek, big players step up in big games?
Well, I mean, I don't think you necessarily rise to the occasion. I hope you are able to rise to the level of your, how we prepared. Your preparation is what is critical when you go on the road, and making sure that all the small details are covered, that we know what we're expecting, which they do. The crowd noise and how we're going to have to handle the operation, at the line of scrimmage to be able to run and then make some plays. Make some plays, and the tendency to sometimes get quieter.
How did you feel about playing in games like this?
I loved it. I mean, it's Monday night.
Is it weird, though, because it is Monday Night Football, but there's also another game on?
See, we never played when there was
this is the first time this ever happened. It's weird.
Yeah, so I enjoyed Monday nights, man. I live for Monday nights. Sunday night games, hell, Sunday games, period. But Monday night is just a different type of air. It's because you're the only show in town. Well, not now because they got another game, but typically you're the only show in town. Everybody from your mother, your father, their friends, your brothers, sisters, old girlfriends, classmates, everybody's watching you. Everybody. So you want to put on a performance. I mean, you want your team to win so they can have good things to say about you. But you always want to go out there, regardless. You always want to go out there and set a standard and a level of play, and you always want to play to that level or above that level. You never want to play below that level, especially not on Monday night.
Okay, it's time for us to make our game day predictions. Now, Chris Sanders, who's not with us because he's on the practice field right now coaching over at NBA.
Did he send you his prediction?
He did not, but he told me during the week last week that he thought the Titans were going to win. He didn't give me a final score. He said he was leaning towards the Titans winning this game. So let's just say Chris is going to pick the Titans, which would not surprise me whatsoever. Who wins tonight? Final score. Why Titans and Bills?
Well, I think the Titans will rebound from the way they played, but I still don't think it'll be enough to overcome. The Bills are just a better team. They are. They showed, last week when the Titans played, and this week, last week when the Bills played, the Bills were the better team. The Bills came out to play for 4 quarters. It wasn't, we're going to play 2 quarters and then not. They were disciplined the whole game. The Tennessee Titans went that way. Now, I say they will play better, but I still don't think it'll be enough to beat Buffalo. I don't think Tannehill will do enough to overcome, Derrick Henry not being able to run the ball effectively. The only way they win is if Derrick goes off. And if he goes off, then okay, but I don't see that happening. I think Buffalo wins. I think they win by 10 points. So I'm going with the spread.
I think it's going to be a closer game than people are expecting. I'm still going to take the Bills. I'll go Bills 28, Titans 26. Lewis Riddick will be on the call. He's up next here. It's been the pregame show live from Twin Peaks. Come on out for the game tonight. 20-degree beer. And, of course, the best scenic views. And all the TVs will have the Titans on tonight. Right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.